Before I begin, a quick note. If you enjoy listening to unsettling stories that keep you awake just a little longer than you planned, don't forget to subscribe. It helps me keep bringing you more of these strange tales, and you never know what you might hear next time. Now, let's begin. I found the journal in a thrift store on the edge of town. It wasn't the kind of place I normally stop. The store itself looked more like an abandoned office than anything else, with buzzing fluorescent lights and shelves sagging under the weight of random boxes. At the back, behind a crate of cracked VHS tapes, there was a stack of battered leather notebooks. Some empty, some filled with grocery lists or phone numbers from people long gone. But one caught my eye immediately. The cover was marked with a faint stamp, almost worn off, but I could still make out the letters. U.S. Army Medical Research. The pages were brittle, yellowed, the ink faded in places. But when I opened it, the first thing written was a date, January 12, 1973. The handwriting was neat, clinical, the kind of penmanship that looks like it belongs in a patient file. What follows are the entries I copied word for word. At first, they seem professional, detached, but as you'll hear, something went very wrong. January 12, 1973. Subject Group A has arrived at the facility. 12 individuals, all volunteers, though most of them have been recruited through financial incentive. Ages range from 22 to 41. Male to female ratio, 7:5. The study will last 30 days. Subjects will be observed under conditions of total sleep deprivation. Continuous monitoring will record cognitive and physiological decline. The hypothesis is straightforward. Prolonged sleep loss leads to psychosis and eventual collapse of bodily function. We are to document every stage. In exchange for completion, the participants are promised full compensation and release without record. Already I can see doubt in their eyes. They don't believe we can truly keep them awake for that long. But the equipment has arrived from the department. The gas feed is operational. The lights are constant. The doors are sealed. None of them will sleep. January 14th, 1973. Day 2. The subjects are restless, but still compliant. Their conversations are casual, though tinged with nervous energy. Subject number 5, male 34, has already asked twice about how we intend to monitor compliance. I assured him the compound circulating in the air will suppress the urge to drift into unconsciousness. It is odorless, tasteless, and requires no active cooperation. So far, none of them are aware when the compound is released. That is promising. A few show tremors in the hands. Pupils dilated more than expected. They laugh too loud at small jokes, as if everything is slightly too funny. The staff speculate this is merely the compound interacting with dopamine regulation. We are instructed not to interfere. January 16th, 1973. Day 4. Subjects have begun to deteriorate in mood. Reports of irritability, headaches, mild paranoia. Subject number 3 insists the lights are growing brighter, though no change in lumens has been recorded. Subject number 7 refuses to eat unless food is tested in front of her first. She claims it smells wrong. Subject number 11 stares at the walls for hours. When questioned, he says he hears breathing inside the concrete. I recommended temporary isolation for number 11, but superiors insist he remain with the group for maximum observational yield. I am beginning to suspect the compound does more than suppress sleep. January 18th, 1973. Day 6. Subjects show signs of advanced fatigue, yet no one has collapsed. Heart rates elevated, blood pressure inconsistent. Muscular tremors worsen. The conversations in the chamber have grown darker. They whisper to each other when they think we aren't listening. One of the staff believes subject number 9 is documenting something on the walls using a piece of metal torn from her cot. When I checked the surveillance footage, the detail was unclear, but the wall does appear scratched. During evening observation, the group asked for reading materials to pass the time. We were told to deny all requests. That night, several began singing in unison. Low, monotone chanting, no melody. They stopped only when the lights flickered. The gas flow has not faltered, but I am beginning to notice its effect on us, too. The technicians complain of insomnia even after leaving the sealed wing. January 20th, 1973. Day 8. I am writing quickly, as I feel the need to capture every detail before it slips. Subject number 2 collapsed today, not from sleep but from exhaustion. He lay on the floor, twitching violently, as though seizing. The others did not help him. They simply watched. When we intervened and removed him from the chamber, his eyes were wide open, yet his body would not respond. Medical staff reported he was not asleep, nor awake. A state of living paralysis. I asked if he should be discharged. I was told, no subjects leave before termination. The others were silent for hours afterward. Then subject number 5 began laughing again. Not joyfully, but the kind of laugh you hear at a funeral. When we tried to engage him, he said, "You'll see it soon. You'll see what comes when the eyes won't close." At this point in the journal, the handwriting grows less tidy. The letters slant, the ink blotches. It's as if the hand holding the pen was shaking, or the writer was losing patience. January 22nd, 1973. Day 10. They will not eat. They only whisper. Subject number 7 hums to herself in the corner, tracing circles on her arms until the skin bleeds. Subject number 11 does not move at all anymore. He sits against the wall, staring, lips moving. No sound. I asked command whether we should sedate them for safety. They replied with one word: observe. I have begun hearing it too. The sound number 11 described. Breathing in the walls. At first I thought it was machinery, but now, when the lights hum, I swear the breathing hums along with it. I considered halting the gas flow temporarily, but the apparatus is locked under code I do not have clearance for. Even if I wanted to stop this, I could not. I stopped reading after that entry. Not because the journal ended, there were still dozens of pages left, but because I thought I heard something. I was alone in my apartment, the journal open on my desk. The only sound was the refrigerator in the kitchen, but underneath it, I swear I heard a faint, steady rhythm. Breathing. The handwriting after the 10th day is worse. Letters slope downward, sentences trail into smudges. It feels less like someone documenting, and more like someone clinging to reality by recording it. January 24th, 1973. Day 12. Subject number 7 has torn her fingernails down to the skin. She bleeds freely, does not react to pain. When asked why, she said, "I was trying to dig it out. It's underneath." No clarification given. Subject number 5 has not stopped pacing for 36 hours. He circles the chamber endlessly, muttering fragments of speech. When addressed, he freezes, smiles too widely, and says only, "I don't need it anymore." I asked him what he no longer needed. His response: "The space between the nights." January 25th, 1973. Day 13. The smell in the chamber is intolerable. Sweat, urine, blood all mingled. When we attempted to ventilate, subjects screamed and clawed at the door, as if terrified of the air outside. One technician vomited afterward, saying he saw shapes moving in the vent mist. I dismissed him at first, but when reviewing footage, I too noticed something. A distortion, a ripple, not a shadow, not smoke, something else. I told myself it was an error on the tape, but I no longer trust myself. January 26, 1973. Day 14. 2 full weeks. Subject number 11 speaks now, though he does not use words. He clicks his teeth, hums, makes guttural sounds that form no language I recognize. The others watch him as though he is leading them. When lights dimmed briefly during a power surge, they all moved closer to him, gathering around his seated figure. Afterward, subject number 9 carved another set of marks into the wall. Symbols. Not English, not any script I can identify. I asked for the photographs to be sent to command. The response came back with a single line. Do not attempt translation. The implication is that someone already has. January 27, 1973. Day 15. I am certain the gas is leaking into my own workspace. My hands shake as I write. My eyelids refuse to close even when I want them to. I lie in bed for hours, body screaming for rest, but no sleep comes. In those long stretches of silence, I hear it, breathing, from the corner of my room, sometimes shallow, sometimes ragged, always in rhythm with mine. I have stopped reporting this to superiors. They would not care. Or worse, they would mark it as progress. January 28, 1973. Day 16. Subject number 2 has died. His body gave out. Organs failed in sequence, beginning with the kidneys. When staff attempted retrieval, the others surrounded him, refusing to step aside until we threatened force. During removal, subject number 5 whispered, "He's not gone. He's dreaming now. He's the lucky one." Later, in the morgue, the coroner reported something strange. Subject number 2's brain activity, faint, residual, as if still firing even after death, as if caught between. January 29th, 1973. Day 17. The subjects refuse food entirely now. Instead, they lick condensation from the chamber walls, scraping their tongues raw. Their eyes are wrong. The pupils have grown so wide the irises are nearly gone. When light hits them, there is no contraction, just black pools swallowing everything. Subject number 11 does not blink anymore. I timed him for over 3 hours. Not once did his eyelids move. The staff speculate whether the compound has permanently disabled the body's ability to initiate sleep reflexes. If so, they are becoming something other than human. January 30th, 1973. Day 18. I must confess something here, though I fear writing it. I looked at subject number 9 too long today, through the glass, and she looked back at me. Her lips moved, slowly, forming words she could not possibly know. She said my name. No microphone was active. No sound passed through, but I read it clear as if spoken aloud. I have not told anyone. Cannot tell anyone. January 31st, 1973. Day 19. The chamber smells of copper. Blood has soaked into the concrete where they tear at their own skin. They smear it into patterns, circles, interlocking spirals. When one collapses, the others laugh. But not cruelly, not mockery. It sounds almost celebratory. Subject number 5 collapsed tonight. He convulsed violently, foam at his mouth. The others did not move to help. Instead, they held him down. When the seizure ended, his eyes rolled back, and he whispered one word: "Open." February 1st, 1973. Day 20. The chamber cameras failed for 7 minutes. When the feed returned, subject number 11 was standing directly at the glass, staring into the lens. All others lay prone around him as if worshipping. For the first time, command intervened. They ordered all technicians out of the wing, leaving only essential staff. They told us, "Do not interfere further. Observation only." When I asked what the purpose of the study truly was, I received no reply. By this point in the journal, the ink stains the page. The pen digs deep grooves into the paper. The entries come faster, shorter, as though the writer was rushing to capture each moment before something overtook him. But the tone slows. Every word feels heavier. February 2nd, 1973. Day 21. They do not look tired anymore. Their skin is pale, waxen, lips cracked, nails torn, but they no longer tremble. They no longer collapse. When I see them on the monitor, I swear their eyes follow me. No matter where I move in the room, they are aware. I tried covering the monitor once, just for a moment. When I removed the cloth, subject number 9's face was pressed to the glass, blood streaking her teeth. I do not know how she reached it in time. February 3rd, 1973. Day 22. Something has shifted. The chamber is silent now. No muttering, no pacing, no chants. They simply wait. I cannot describe the feeling except expectation, as though they know something is coming, and worse, as though they know I will be part of it. That's where I stopped again. Not because the journal ended, but because I couldn't read another word without feeling the weight of those eyes on me. Even now, as I sit here, I can picture them. The silence, the stillness, the way the breathing in my room matches the rhythm written in those pages. And the thought that keeps me awake is the same sentence that ended the last page I read. They do not look tired anymore. The pages after day 22 are darker, not just in tone, in appearance. The handwriting is jagged, as if the pen was gouging the paper more than writing on it. Ink bleeds through. Sometimes entire lines dissolve into scratches. And yet, the writer kept going. He wanted this to be remembered, even if it should never have been seen. February 4th, 1973. Day 23. No subject has spoken in over 24 hours. They sit together against the far wall, shoulders touching, eyes unblinking. Their breathing has synchronized into a single rhythm, slow and heavy. I asked command if sedation was permitted. The reply came back instantly: "No interference. I think they are waiting, but for what? Cannot say." February 5th, 1973. Day 24. My reflection betrays me. When I look into the observation glass, I see myself staring back. But there is a delay. Half a second. My lips move after I've already spoken. My eyes blink slower. I told myself it was exhaustion, a trick of the light. But when I reached toward the glass, the reflection's hand did not rise. It stayed at its side. The subjects noticed. Their heads tilted in unison, smiles stretching wide. I left the room shaking. February 6th, 1973. Day 25. Subject number 11 finally moved. He stood, slow and deliberate, and pressed his hand to the wall. The others followed. One by one, each subject lifted a hand, pressing their palms flat against the concrete. At first, I thought it was mimicry. Then I realized the pattern. Together, their spread fingers formed a circle, a crude wheel of hands. The skin beneath their palms darkened, not from bruising, from something else. A spreading discoloration, deep purple, radiating outward like veins. We attempted to intervene. Command forbade it. February 7th, 1973. Day 26. I hear them in my sleep. If sleep is what I have. Not voices, not words, but a humming, a vibration that runs beneath the walls of this building. Sometimes I wake with blood at my ears. I dream, though I know I do not sleep. Dreams of lying on the chamber floor among them, breathing in rhythm, waiting for something I cannot name. And when I open my eyes, I swear I see the chamber door from the inside. February 8th, 1973. Day 27. Another body collapsed today. Subject number 5. But he did not stay down. His chest no longer moved. His skin grayed. By every measure, he should be gone. And yet he stood, slowly, joints cracking with the effort. The others clapped, laughed. Not mockery, celebration. Subject number 5's mouth opened impossibly wide. His jaw unhinged, skin tearing at the corners. From deep within his throat came a sound I cannot put to letters. It rattled the cameras, shook the glass, made every light flicker. It covered my ears, but I still heard it, inside my bones. February 9th, 1973. Day 28. The doctor's handprint is on the page. A full smear of blood where his palm pressed into the paper. The writing beneath it is slanted, frantic. I saw myself in the glass again. Only this time he did not move at all. He just watched, smiling. His teeth were black. February 10th, 1973. Day 29. Command has sealed the wing. Only essential staff remain. That means me. I begged them to end the experiment. I told them the subjects are no longer subjects. They are something else. They told me this is progress. That the project is no longer about sleep. It is about evolution. I did not ask what they meant. I did not want to know. February 11th, 1973. Day 30. A full month. I think I am changing too. My fingernails are cracked. My skin dry, pale. I cannot remember the last time I felt hunger or thirst. I simply exist. When I pass the mirror, my reflection lingers. It watches me with a patience I do not have. And sometimes it smiles. February 12th, 1973. Day 31. Subject number 11 finally spoke. He placed his lips against the microphone slot and whispered, "You are ready." I do not know if he meant himself, the others, or me. The journal fractures after this. Whole days missing, pages half burned, water damaged, ink blurred into stains. But what remains is worse, because the words feel less human, less logical, like someone trying to describe something that has no language. Fragment, mouths opening where eyes should be, breath that does not belong to lungs, a wheel turning in the dark behind my skull. Fragment, the reflection will not leave the glass. It waits for me to look away. When I do, it will step forward. Fragment, they said the word again. Not English, not sound. A pulse, a pressure in the room. Every bone in my body knew its meaning. Open. At this point, the narrator of the journal is gone. The handwriting devolves into symbols, circles, interlocking spirals, marks carved so deep they tear through multiple sheets of paper. And on the very last page, smeared and nearly illegible, one line remains. We do not sleep. We do not dream. We wait. Even after I closed the journal, I could hear it. Not words, but that hum. Low, endless, like something vast moving just out of sight. And I realized I had started to tap my fingers. 5 beats, over and over. The same rhythm described on day 23. And the worst part? Felt good, natural, as if it had always been there. I should have stopped reading. I should have closed the book the moment I saw the symbols. But there's something about the way the ink moves. Yes, it moves, like it's alive. If you stare too long, the shapes begin to bend, curling into each other, twisting into spirals that weren't there before. I don't know if it's the damage on the paper or if the pages are still writing themselves. The next section isn't dated. It doesn't even look like handwriting anymore, more like scratches left in wood. At first, I thought they were random, but when I traced them with my finger, I realized they formed a sentence. Slow, uneven, almost carved into the pulp of the paper itself. You stayed awake too long. Now you belong to us. I shut the journal. Hard. I told myself it was just madness. Just the delirium of a doctor who hadn't slept in a month. But then I noticed something. My desk clock, the second hand wasn't moving. I tapped the glass. Still, frozen at exactly 3:15. And yet, I could still hear the ticking. Soft, steady, right behind my ears. When I opened the journal again, there was more writing. I swear on my life the page had been blank before. Now it read, "You are on day 1. That was last night. I didn't sleep. Not because I wasn't tired, but because I couldn't. Every time I shut my eyes, I felt the breath of the subjects. Hot, damp, right against my face. And when I snapped awake, I was alone in the room, but the window glass was fogged, as if something had been leaning over me, breathing. The journal, it doesn't want to be unread, because this morning, when I left it on the table, I swore I heard pages turning on their own. When I came back, the book was open to a fresh entry. In my own handwriting. February 18th, 2025. Day 2. The subject has begun to adapt. I didn't write that, but there it was. Every curve of the letter's mine. Tonight I thought of burning it. I carried the journal to the fireplace. Dropped it in. The flames rose, crackling, orange and hungry, but the paper did not burn. The edges curled, the ink bled, and then, from inside the fire, I swear I saw them. The subjects, standing in the chamber, hands pressed against the glass, smiling. I pulled the book out with tongs, but the cover was cold, cold as ice. I can hear the humming again. It's not just at night now. It's in every silence, between every tick of the clock, a low vibration behind the walls, beneath the floorboards, inside my chest. And when I sit still long enough, my breathing sinks to it. Slow, heavy, in rhythm, just like theirs. I don't know how much longer I have. I caught my reflection again. This time it wasn't delayed. It was early. It blinked before I did, tilted its head before I thought to move. And then it smiled, black teeth glistening. Not my teeth, not my smile. The last entry in the journal, the final one before it was found, was only a single word, written over and over, scrawled until the pen ripped holes through the paper. Open. I think I know what it means. Not open the book. Not open the chamber. Open me. I don't know who will hear this. I don't know if it matters. But if you've listened this far, then you've read the words. You've felt the rhythm. You've heard the hum between the silence. That's all it takes. That's how it spreads. Not through air, not through touch, through attention, through the act of listening, of knowing. And now, you're part of it too. Maybe you'll notice it tonight, when the house goes quiet, when the clock ticks just a little too slow, when your own breath starts to fall into a rhythm you didn't choose. 5 beats, over and over. And if you wake up to fog on the window glass beside your bed, don't look at the reflection. Don't meet its eyes, because if you do, it will finally step forward, and the experiment will begin again.